This video is about extracting hair inside of Photoshop. Before we start doing so, I'll just comment a bit about what we should look for in pictures when we try to find pictures that are easy to extract compared to pictures that are hard to extract or close to impossible to extract. Okay, so I've made a folder containing a lot of pictures, and we'll just be talking about some of the stuff that makes these pictures good or bad for extraction. So I'm inside of Bridge and I'm showing you these pictures. Okay, so the first picture right here isn't actually bad for extraction, but the bad part about this picture is that it has already been extracted. If you look at the parts of her hair, I'm just gonna zoom in and we'll try, zoom in on some parts of the hair. You'll notice that there has already been some extraction of hair here. This is not how hair would look naturally. It's not that it's a bad extraction, but it wouldn't make sense to find a picture that has already been extracted and then extracted once again. Then you should instead have found the source file, the original file, or you should be the one having done the extraction, so you have the PSD file located on your computer. The bad part about this picture is not that it's bad for extraction, but that this has already been extracted. Okay, so this picture is bad for extraction because it is overexposed. You notice the parts of her hair which are next to the background, they're almost completely the same color, and this makes a really bad picture for extraction. We could possibly do it because there is a bit of contrast in her hair compared to the background, but it's in general, when you see an overexposed picture compared to next to a white background, it's gonna pose some challenge. Okay, so this picture is bad because it's cropped very much. So when you're done with extracting this picture, you'll notice that you have to use this picture in a specific way because there's parts cropped from the top, there's parts cropped from the right, and there's parts cropped from the bottom. So you're very limited in how you can play with this picture. So this picture is bad because if it's cropped, you would like something to move around with, and you're not able to do that if you place this picture on top of a new background if it's cropped so much. This picture is mainly bad because there's not much difference between the hair and the background, so that will pose a very tough challenge to extract this picture. This picture is again bad because of the cropping, because some parts of the top of her skull is missing and some of her back. Mainly you'll want to find pictures which has the entire skull of the person, because most likely you'll be placing that person in a setting where you'll need some more of her head than than you see on the original picture. Okay, and this picture is pain. This is pure pain. You're not gonna want to extract a picture like this. So you'll want to avoid pictures like this. Not only is it very tough because it'll take forever to extract this hair, but it's also tough because there are a lot of blurry parts in the hair. She has light coming from the back of her head, meaning that some parts will be overexposed in those regions, making it very difficult for Photoshop to separate the overexposed parts compared to the non-overexposed parts. And in general, this is just going to be terrible for you. This picture has some qualities that are good, other qualities that are not good. The bad qualities of this picture is that the top of her hair up here is the same color, because it's a bit overexposed, as the white background here. Likewise, there's some whiteness in the hair mixing a bit with the background, so we will get some problems there. On the other hand, on the left side, it's going to be very easy. The left side is going to be very easy because there's a huge difference in color between her hair on the left side compared to the background. So that's what we're actually looking for. We're looking for contrast between foreground, the hair, and the background. So we're gonna take the next picture. This picture is gonna be easy to extract because there's a lot of contrast between the background and her hair, but this picture has most likely already been extracted, and the reason why I can see that is because there's done a poor job up in the top region of her hair. This picture is going to be easy to extract, especially the hair, because it's, you know, and there's not much sticking out of hair. So this is going to be easy, and most likely it has already been extracted because it's not natural that someone stands on pure white. So it has most likely been extracted already. So again, you would find the source where she's standing on a background already, just to make sure that you don't extract the hair twice, because that it will always produce a worse result if you extract it more times and more times and more times, because if, she will lose more and more hair the more time you extract. This picture, now we're heading somewhere. This picture is actually quite good. There's a lot of contrast in her hair compared to the background, so you'll want to be looking for pictures like this. I imagine this picture will only have some slightly hard parts to extract, which will be down around here where there's some blurriness in the hair, and where some of the tips of hair meet the same color as the background. But otherwise, this is going to be fairly easy to extract inside of Photoshop. This picture is going to be easy to extract. This has already been extracted and put against a new background. So this would be how it looked if you actually extracted a picture and put it on a new background. This could be how it looked. This is most likely also, I'm not sure if this is extracted of it or if it's studio lighting. If it's extracted, it's done fairly well, because you see up here how you can see each and every hair on the top of her head. So this is a good job if it has been extracted. It could be studio lighting, so there is no extraction, but I feel I see a bit of extraction down here, so possibly there has been some extraction, but this would be an okay picture to start extracting. This picture is, I would imagine this picture is actually perfect for extraction. Know that I haven't extracted any of these pictures. I just found them all on Colorbox. So this is just me recognizing what would be ideal for Photoshop for extraction. I would recommend a picture like this for extraction, where there's a high amount of contrast between the hair color and whatever is in the background. This picture is ideal as well. High amount of contrast in his hair compared to the background. And this picture, her hair is in some parts almost the same color as the background, and she has perhaps some overexposure. And right here, it's kind of like the light inside of this hair matches very much the yellow light which is just above the hair, so it will probably pose a few problems. But I think we'll get on to actually trying this out. So the two pictures that I'm gonna test this on is gonna be, I'm gonna test it on these three pictures actually. So let's move on. Okay, so we have all these three pictures open. I'm gonna extract this guy first, and the way I'm gonna do that is that I'm gonna open up the layer. I'm gonna place a layer beneath him, and actually just I'm gonna fill it with some color. That's just, I had red in my background color, so I just placed that color in there. I'll just select quickly some orange. I prefer that. So this is set to my background color. If I want to fill with background color in that layer that I just created, it's Command backspace or Command delete. And I'm just going to put that underneath him. Okay, so it doesn't make sense at all right now that I have placed this layer beneath him. And I'm going to click back on the layer where he's located at, and I'm just going to quick select him. I'm going to quick select him so I have a quick selection where all the parts of him are included. as best as you can do within, 20 seconds. So it's not going to be a perfect selection, well, but it's going to be okay. Okay, so what I'm looking for mostly is actually how much of his hair is selected, and I think that's fine. Okay, so the next thing we'll do after having quick selected this guy is to go to select, then select and mask. And when we're inside of this select and mask, the first thing you'll notice is that it looks like you're inside of Photoshop, but on the left your toolbox looks different, and on the right your panels look different. So the first thing you'll want to do is change from quick selection tool to refine edge brush tool. You can do your quick selection tool in here. I strongly suggest you don't select the entire person in here using quick selection tool, because it's better than you can just when you're outside of this box, you can always click undo. But when you're in here, the undo you can click undo in here, but you don't have access to your history panel. So you might regret some of the actions you do, and you won't be able to, correctly go back in history. But we're going to choose the refine edge brush tool. And after having chosen that, that's gonna be the tool we use for refining the edges of his hair. After having chosen that, we'll go to the view mode, and we'll change how view the picture. You can set it to overlay, that's one thing. You can put it to on black or on white. Definitely don't set it to marching ants, because then you'll just see the selection and you have no idea if it's gonna be a good selection for the hair or if it's gonna be a bad selection for the hair. If you place it on layers, and that's actually what I wanted to do, you'll be able to see the layer you had placed beneath. And this is a great way to, make a distinction of how well your extraction, how well it's going for your extraction. So on layers, using a layer beneath is, in my opinion, the best way of doing it. So I've put it on layers. And the next thing I'll do is just switch off the edge detection just to around 2 pixels. This is gonna be how Photoshop detects the edge of and the contrast in the hair compared to the background. And of course, if Photoshop cannot recognize the background from the hair, it will do a bad job. But right here, it's gonna do a fairly good job, because there's high contrast between background and foreground, the hair. Okay, so in general, don't adjust these yet. In general, don't adjust smooth and feather when we're dealing with hair, unless we have some person who has transparent hair, ghosty hair. That's, yeah. In general, don't adjust smooth and feather. Contrast and shift edge might be a possibility. So the next thing we'll do is make sure that our refine edge tool that we're going to use is set to a high enough brush size. Right now mine is tiny, so I'm going to just change mine to being bigger. And as I change my size up here, you'll notice that I'll see it become bigger out here. In general, you'll use a fairly big brush. On this picture, I'll probably go with somewhere between 100 and 200. So I'll just set it to 130. And then you'll start moving from the start of his hair, but not go too far into the hair, because then you're going to delete parts inside of the hair. And then you're just going to move like this while your mouse button is held down. And Photoshop will start detecting how the contrast is in these areas, and remove places that have background and place items that were removed originally by the quick selection, because it has the same colors as his hair. So it's gonna take parts that were removed and put them back, and it's gonna remove some of the parts that were not the same color as his hair, so they're not there anymore. And you see, this This is a really great job, and Photoshop did that in just a matter of seconds. So in this case, we would not need to adjust the contrast and shift edge. If we do, you can just see what happens. It simply just moves further into his hair. So that's mostly if Photoshop is not able to do a fairly decent job, then shift edge would be able to go further into the hair and thus remove some of the background that we don't need. But in this case, Photoshop already did a great job without shifting the edge. The contrast is to make the strain of hair sharper. So in general, I would rarely recommend contrast. But in some cases, if the hair seems blurry, perhaps contrast would help a bit. I think this is an okay job, so I'll just click OK to this. And if you want to use this, you could, if I clicked delete now, I would delete him, so that's a bad idea. But I could invert the selection, select inverse, and then click delete, and then I would probably be okay, happy with the result. For some of you, that would be just really weird to delete the background because you prefer to do it otherwise. I'll just invert back into him. Some of you prefer to use a layer mask in order to extract the background, and you can do that as well. I don't care which option you use. Depends on what you're used to doing. Okay, so this was fairly easy, and you can try doing this on the other two pictures. I would imagine this picture is very easy to do it on. So let's just try that out. Select and mask. And like I said, remember to select the person first. Okay. And in this case, I'll just again make a new layer and fill it with, let's say, orange. Whoop. That's Command backspace, Command delete. If I had orange in my background color, if it was my foreground color, it would be Alt backspace. Options backspace. And when I say backspace, that's delete. Old school name for delete. Okay, so I'm gonna select her and perhaps make my quick selection tool just a bit bigger, because this is gonna take too long otherwise. Be sure to have the right layer selected, otherwise your quick selection tool will not work. And I'll just make a fast selection. It seems like I have most of her there. Yep, so the next thing I'll do is select and mask. And with my refine edge brush tool, it seems like it just needs to be just a bit bigger. Yeah, I can take it even higher. I'll do 200 approximately. Okay, again I set it to be on layers, and I set the radius to be 2 pixels. Just experiment with this radius, because I think you'll notice that it provides a better result if you have a radius of about 2 pixels in general. And I'll just start moving along the hair, and don't put it too far into her hair, because that will make a worse result. That will start taking away some of the hair inside of her skull. And I'll just do the same down here. And actually, the more hair I select, the better a result it will make up here. Even though I'm working down here, the fact that I'm gathering more, sampling more information about the hair down here provides a better result up here. Sometimes you'll notice that it flickers around other parts, and that's because it's recalculating. And I think this is fairly okay. So if I'm doubting if the result is okay, I can always use restore original edge. So I can just go around here and just see, okay, Let's try again. So there's a minus here and you can switch to plus, so you can erase whatever edit you made and you can try again. So I'm gonna try again right here, and this time perhaps use a bit smaller brush in this area. And just to see if this provides a better result. Okay. So this result up here was not nice, but everywhere else it's looking great. So I'll just start trying to adjust the radius and see if this provides a better result for me. And just perhaps adjust the edge. So this is just a matter of just trying out if some of these settings will help a bit. And perhaps also by decontaminating colors. Yes, so there's an option down here, the output settings, which is to decontaminate colors, and that will sometimes help it find the right pixels. So by switching on the decontaminate colors, I hereby got a much better result. But just know by choosing the decontaminate colors, you may get some of the pixels from the original background into the hair, meaning that some of the hair right here probably has some colors that are closely related to the colors in the background, because I see that there's a bit of grayness to the hair right here. But you can always adjust the amount lower and see what results provides, what makes the best result for you. Okay, so the downside of doing it like this is that it will output to a new layer, either with a layer mask or make her in an entirely new layer. So this way you cannot delete the layer in the background, it will still be there. So you're actually making an entirely new layer by using this decontaminate colors options. But best result is what matters, so I'll just click OK to that, and she'll be located on a new layer now, and the layer below will be invisible. You see, this is how the final result looks like. Perfect. Okay, so let's see if this picture provides any discomfort when trying to extract. I just tested this picture, and this picture is not suited for select and mask. Simply what happens when, I'll just demonstrate what happens when you try to use it on this picture is actually that, let me just quickly select it. I'll just make a quick selection just to show you what happens. Select and mask, and you'll notice when you start to try using this tool on her hair, it will start immediately putting some of the background into her hair, and it will actually also delete some parts that are her real hair. So this picture, the pixels in her hair are just too closely related to the pixels in the background, making a real fuzziness to how she looks. And even decontaminate colors in this picture will not help, no matter how you set your radius in here. So on a picture like this, you would need to use a different way to extract her. So select and mask would not be fitting for this picture. This is something you will experience a lot of times if you fail to find pictures that match the criteria you're searching for when using select and mask, the things I explained you about in the first video. Yes, thank you for listening. Oh yeah, and one last thing, if you definitely need to extract a picture and it's just not fitting for select and mask, there is one other options you can find by just looking on my YouTube channel. I highly recommend that you find a picture where you can extract it using select and mask. But if you really do need to extract a difficult picture, there is on my YouTube channel, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom almost, I have a video here called Extracting Hair with Channels Inside of Photoshop. So this video details how to use channels to extract instead of actually using select and mask. This will most likely provide a better result on your difficult pictures. I would like to say though that there is one way of extracting that is even better. But I haven't made videos about that because that's a huge topic. It's using something inside of Photoshop called calculations. But you can find a lot of videos about that on LinkedIn Learning, actually. Videos that are up to 3 hours long just about how to use calculations in order to extract hair. But you can try out watching my video extracting hair with channels inside of Photoshop, which you can find on my channel. Okay, but like I said, I recommend that you don't go to that stage yet. Select and mask is totally fine so far at your stage. So just stick with that and try to find pictures that are easy to extract because the contrast between foreground and background is not too high. Yeah. See you.